am sorry this has almost come to an end, this reading binge. I don't know yet. Well, this is airing later, but I might just order the other one, the eighth book, which was just came out a month or so ago. Um, for the Christmas one. She does the Sherlock one too. I've done some of those, but I haven't gotten engrossed in the Sherlock mysteries, but I could try those again. I've looked at them a couple times, but I really got into this. I wasn't so keen in the beginning, but 8 books in, I've gotten to know the characters and all now. I'm kind of attached to the series, kind of sort of. So I need to get the next book, which just came out, like I said. Hey, welcome to the Delany's book series. I'm Christina, K-R-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. And if you could please hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Thumbs up, please. So, I didn't go out. I didn't plan on reading all of Christmas, all of December, but that's exactly what happened. I read all of Christmas, all of December. Sorry about that. But we're almost to the end here. 2026 is around the corner. Where's Barbara Walter? So, anyways, we've got Mary. She's got her little Christmas nook store, novelties. And we've got her dad, Noel, who plays Santa Claus. This is a town, Rudolph, that twice a year, although this is, this actually, her last book, she was doing July and Christmas, July and Christmas, July and Christmas. Well, the last 2 books she did a few days before Thanksgiving, and this one takes place a few days before Christmas. So, and it is book 6 in the series. And we've got her father got a beard, and he looks a little bit like Santa Claus, so he plays Santa Claus and all the parades and stuff. Her mom is Aline, and was a former opera singer. She, however, does not play Mrs. Claus. You know who plays Mrs. Claus? Mary plays Mrs. Claus. Go figure that one. We really don't see much of Jack and Grace Olsen. They own the Yuletide Inn. We don't see much of them in this book. We saw quite a bit of them in the last 2 books. We don't see much of Mark. He makes an appearance. Mark is Vicki. Vicki is her best friend, and Mark is her significant other at this junction. He is also the main chef at the Yuletide Inn. We have Russ Durham, the editor of the newspaper, and then we have Alan, who is her boyfriend and the toy maker. We have Officer Candace Campbell, whose stuff in the book is coming a little more front. She used to be a side character. Now she's moving frontward. She's making several front appearances, upstage appearances. So that's good. Sue Ann Morrow, we didn't see too much of her. We heard about her though. Betty, I think it's Maggie Thatcher, is the owner of the store next to Mary's, and is always giving her a hard time. Well, there's a little bit of a Christmas miracle at the end of the book, so you'll have to check that out. So we're putting on the Christmas play. They've got all these amateurs in town, and they're going to have an amateur Christmas Carol with Scrooge and Tiny Tim and the whole 9 yards. And these are amateurs. Some of them are amateurs who've been doing it for years and just like to do it, as a hobby, whatever. And then we have some new people that are looking to star on Broadway. I think this is their launch for Broadway. And Jackie, Mary's little assistant in the shop, has got her eyes set on Broadway. She thinks this is just going to launch her career. Mary doesn't think so. Most of the town doesn't think so. But the girl's got dreams. Her boyfriend, Kyle, he's had some odd jobs. He hasn't come through as very reliable lately. But he says some good stuff every now and then. He makes a point. So we've got a whole cast of... Oh, and then we've got Mrs. D'Angelo, her landlord. And Mrs. D'Angelo is the town gossip. she has connections everywhere. And she does help Mary out on some research. Whether Mary wants her to do so or not, the woman offered to do it, and she was able to get some substantial information. So, we have George Mann, who's in the play, Rachel McIntosh and her husband Ian. They own Candy Sweets, and Ian is part of the play. We have Dave French, who has a little bit of a role. He's the son of Lloyd French, who had a stroke over the summer, and his son has come to run the Carolers Motel, and he's also thinking of making a chain hotel, and there's one in Muddle, or off the highway by Muddle, that he's looking to branch out to get a second hotel to see if they can get this business growing. And then we have Randy Bob Gunner. We see a little bit of him a couple of different times in the book. He's the mayor of Muddle Harbor. And John Benedict is in town for the real estate agent situation with Dave. And we have Desmond Kerslake, the director of the Players. And Paula Manahan is part of the theater group. And Eddie is her son. He's going to play Tiny Tim. And we have Irene Dowling, who's the wardrobe missus. And we have, we meet Judith Simmons, the Detective Simmons' mom. And we've got Catherine Renshaw. Her and her husband supposedly owned a whole chain of like a Home Depot type situation, and they have retired and they have settled in the small town of Rudolph. So she proclaims to have a few dollars, and she's taken over directing this play, and she's funding and spewing out money like crazy to support the play. She's financing it. She's financing the props and some of the stuff needed for the stage and the production. She's having a rehearsal party for the crew. Then she preloads an after party for the crew. We start off the book with a picnic she's paid for to promote the crew, the actors, the actresses that are going to be in the play. So she's spewing out lots and lots of money. And her husband, when he goes shopping, and Catherine hints to him to possibly get her a Christmas present, Mary notes that he finds the absolute cheapest thing in the shop to purchase for Catherine. So if they're supposed to have money, why is he buying something that's under $20 for his wife for Christmas? So I have to see what that happens, because there's a whole bunch of stuff. Miss D'Angelo comes in handy for that community gossip mill. And Miss D'Angelo will set you straight on the Renshaws. So, we're meandering along. We're doing our show. Rehearsing our show. And one of the lead characters gets murdered. Now, Mary, her shop is empty. Jackie has gone off next door to get a coffee. Mary goes back to check on her puppy, Saint Bernard. And the few minutes she hears the bell of the door of her store, "Hey, I'll be out in a minute." And she's working with the dog. By the time she gets out of the store, and she's ridiculed by Detective Simmons, and she's got a point. You heard your door open and you did not go out to see who the customer was, because they could come in and help themselves to a few items and leave before you even got out. And Mary's like, I know, but I was with the dog, and most of my customers don't lift items. They don't get stolen that quickly. Well, Mary, while you were in your office tending to your puppy and filling his water dish after he purposely spilled it on you, someone was murdered in your store. Someone who was involved with the play, who had a small sign of she played Mrs. Cratchit. And Vicki was her understudy. So Vicki is a person of interest, because now that this woman is dead, Vicki can move up into the starring role. So there's motive right there. So the whole book, they're looking at Vicki, and Vicki's just like, she's all about the play. We all know Vicki's innocent. We all know Vicki didn't do it. And we do see some time with Mary and Alan on stage, so that's good on the book. In the last book, there was 2 sections. There was one that said, "Me and Alan went on a date last night. It was good, blah 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 blah." That's it. So it wasn't an on-stage event. It didn't happen for us to be there for it. We were told after the fact. That's off stage. And then there was an on-stage event. So we've had semi on-stage event here twice, I think. So that's better. So I'm trying to get used to her and Alan and the idea of it, but I'm not just feeling it yet. We haven't seen enough of them on stage, sort of, kind of. So she's investigating, and this has a length of time. One of the chapters is like a summary chapter. Well, over the next few days, blah 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 blah. So one of the chapters is like a summary that tells you what's gone on in the town the past week or so. And then we skip ahead to the opening of the play and all these big shots coming into town for the play. And they still hadn't found out who the murderer was. And then her father, Mary's father, Noel, goes out of town for a 24 or 48-hour period of time to meet an old friend. And while he is out of town, someone breaks into Mary's mom's house and gives Mary's mom a really good scare. So, the police are called. Mary and Alan, who had been hanging out that night, go check out the mom's place. So, who murdered Paula in Mary's store while she was in her store in the back room? If she'd gotten up, well, I mean, it was the plot line. Yeah, I know. But, the whole time Detective Simmons goes, "You left your store unattended and you heard the bell and you heard someone come in and you didn't get up and go, Mary, this is retail." Mary's like, "Wait, but I had to do the dog," and she said, "I did call out and said I'd be out in a minute." So whoever killed Paula knew she was in the building and could have came after her too. And then at some point, she's like, "Well, Paula does look like a little bit like Catherine from the back, and Paula does look like my mom from the back." And then she's like, was Paula killed mistaken identity? Was she supposed to be Catherine, who'd been in the store earlier? Or her mom, who'd also been in the store earlier? So there is that little wishy-washy suggestion throughout the book, too. And you also have Vicki with her head and ego up to here. But it's cute. You get used to it. So, who killed Paula? Who entered Mary's mom's house? Don't know. We'll have to read the book to find out. And then we will have to read book 7. And then we will have to wait for Miss Amazon to deliver book 8. But in the meantime, have yourself a deadly little Christmas, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and see what happens next. It was cute. It was good. It was a fast read. Now that I've gotten into these and I know who the players are, I just roll on through. Have a good one.